Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 5.
An STD that's becoming more common in the Valley is getting even harder to treat. The World Health Organization is warning that some cases of gonorrhea are now impossible to cure, saying the bacteria is getting smarter and resisting antibiotics. Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter Nicole Johnson explains why oral sex is partly to blame for spreading the STD.
Earlier this year, an alarming rise in STDs, and in particular, gonorrhea cases, were reported by the Minnesota Health Department.
It can be spread by oral, anal, or vaginal sex.
It's believed that less people using condoms and more not getting their STDs treated are contributing to the issue. Gonorrhea is one of the most common STDs and was once easily treated by antibiotics, but the World Health Organization says a new form of that is much harder to treat and in some cases can't be.
Anytime that you have bacteria that is antibiotic resistance, it is troubling for everyone. According to the World Health Organization article that just came out today, it has not come into the United States yet. It's still in other countries. That doesn't mean that it won't arrive here.
Many people who catch gonorrhea don't have any symptoms, so they continue to spread it. And if it's an oral infection caused by oral sex, it can appear to look like strep throat or a normal sore throat.
Of course, the only sure way is abstinence. That is the only way that you are going to fully protect yourself.
While many experts recommend abstinence, the World Health Organization says gonorrhea can be prevented by correct condom use and says a lack of awareness and stigma around STDs are the biggest barriers for prevention. In Fargo, Nicole Johnson, Valley News Live.
While some people don't have any symptoms, the most common symptoms of gonorrhea are a burning sensation when urinating, increased discharge, bleeding, or pain. And if you're looking for a place to get checked for STDs here in the Fargo-Moorhead area, here's a list of some locations. You can head to the 7-Day Clinic off 40th Avenue or 32nd Avenue in South Fargo. Any lab test now off of 13th Avenue in Fargo. And over in Moorhead, you can go to Planned Parenthood off Bellesley Boulevard. There are plenty of other options as well, and we'll have those attached to this story on our website. The sunshine and breeze felt pretty good today, and still not a lot to worry about, right, Hutch?
Certainly, it's going to be another quiet night as we close out our work week on a good note. If you happen to be heading out to the pool or running through the sprinkler with the kids tonight, expect temperatures in the upper 70s. It's a lot less humid and really a perfect evening with plentiful sunshine out there. Any showers and storms are holding way off to the east out in Wisconsin. For us, we'll be down in the mid-70s by 9 o'clock tonight, clear and quiet overnight. As we start the weekend, it looks like it'll be pretty good, but there will be a chance of some storms in our forecast for this weekend. I'll have details on that coming up here in just a few more moments.
All right, thanks, Hutch.
You bet.
And remember to like Valley News Live on Facebook. You can follow the latest news, weather, and breaking news updates anytime on your feed. Just search Valley News Live, like our page, and you'll stay informed throughout the entire day. A warning for you tonight, disease-carrying mosquitoes are here, and experts say you need to take precautions to protect yourself and your family from the West Nile virus. Last night, tests came back positive to the virus, and Vector Control says they're already taking action. A ground spray application was done last night, and in the next few days, crews will be keeping a close eye on their traps.
But in the coming days, we're going to continue to evaluate the performance of this spray, plan additional sprays and additional interventions as necessary to try and mitigate that risk.
Many areas around the U.S. are seeing West Nile earlier this year. Normally, the Red River Valley doesn't see mosquitoes carrying the virus until August. A court date has been set for a former North Dakota sheriff now facing felony drug and bribery charges. Former Wells County Sheriff Johnny Lawson will have a preliminary hearing September 8th. Lawson has been charged with felony counts of conspiracy to deliver meth and bribery, and misdemeanor counts of providing false information to a law enforcement officer, neglect of duty by a public official, and ingesting meth. He's currently free on a $25,000 bond. A Fargo man is facing terrorizing charges after police say he pulled the fire alarm at the police station. 21-year-old Drew Christensen is also facing criminal mischief charges. Police say that Christensen went to the police department to file a report, but then became annoyed while waiting. He ripped off the thermostat, ripped it off the wall, smashed it on the floor, and then pulled the fire alarm. The entire building was evacuated for a short time Wednesday evening. It's Friday and time to take a look at this week's Valley's Most Wanted. Fargo police say Brandon Brown is wanted for possession of a controlled substance and possession of drug paraphernalia. You can call your local law enforcement if you have any information on Brown. To date, the Valley's Most Wanted program has helped police make more than 580 arrests. One person was hurt and another was ticketed after a 5-car crash in Grand Forks. It happened just after noon today at the intersection of 32nd Avenue and 20th Street South. The crash partially shut down the intersection for an hour. Officers say it started when Darren Razor of Grand Forks ran a red light in his pickup while heading west on 32nd Avenue. Razor hit a vehicle, which was pushed into another vehicle, and then Razor's pickup spun and hit 2 others. One driver was taken to the hospital, but we don't know their condition yet. No one else was hurt. If you saw the crash, give Grand Forks Police a call at 787-8000. We have an update on a Minnesota man who had been missing. On their Facebook page, the Clay County Sheriff's Department says Douglas Brandt has been found. He's safe and is in contact with his family. They also thanked the public for their help in the search. President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin had positive chemistry, according to the U.S. Secretary of State, who was in the room for their 2-hour and 15-minute meeting on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Hamburg, Germany. Nola Lengi reports from the White House.
So much anticipation surrounded the first sit-down between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. It was hard to hear the two leaders over the cameras.
We look forward to a lot of very positive things happening for Russia, for the United States.
Reporters asked Mr. Trump if he would confront Putin about interfering with the 2016 U.S. presidential election. That's how he started the meeting, according to Secretary of State Rex Tillerson.
They had a very robust and lengthy exchange on the subject. The president pressed President Putin on more than one occasion regarding Russian involvement. President Putin denied such involvement.
Tillerson's Russian counterpart offered a different take, saying Mr. Trump accepted Putin's assurances that Russia did not meddle. Senior Trump officials say the two leaders did not want to debate the past, but instead figure out how to work together going forward. Much of the more than 2-hour meeting focused on Syria and ended with the announcement of a ceasefire to end bloodshed in southwestern Syria.
I think this is our first indication of the U.S. and Russia being able to work together in Syria.
It's an honor to be with you.
Tillerson said the two leaders connected very quickly. He said at one point the First Lady stepped in to pull President Trump out of the meeting, but talks with Putin went on for another hour. Mola Lengi for CBS News, the White House.
This evening, protests erupted again on the streets of Hamburg. Earlier in the day, though, demonstrators prevented the First Lady from leaving her hotel and attending scheduled events. German police are working to disperse large crowds, setting fires with water cannons. Minnesota law enforcement organizations are lashing out against Governor Mark Dayton, accusing him of kicking Minnesota cops to the curb after he recommended a new training fund be named after Philando Castile. Dayton made the recommendation at a news conference yesterday. The fund will direct $12 million toward training for officers working in diverse communities. But the recommendation didn't sit well with some law enforcement officials who say the governor is using the power of his office to fuel deeper divisions between minorities and law enforcement.
Governor Dayton is obviously taking a tragic situation and exploiting it. You know, and using it, putting it on his political soapbox just to further his political agenda without any thought or regard for any law enforcement.
This morning, Governor Dayton was scheduled to meet at the state capitol with police chiefs from several departments from around the Twin Cities. As summer heats up, lawmakers are pushing for a new bill to prevent children from being left alone in hot cars. Washington correspondent Kelly Meyer talks with a family still dealing with the loss of their own son and are joining lawmakers in the fight on Capitol Hill to make a change.
I still gaze at his picture that I carry with me always.
It was a hot July day. Miles Harrison drove to work, forgetting to drop his 21-month-old son, Chase, off at daycare. Chase died after being left in the sweltering car for 9 hours. Miles was acquitted of manslaughter, but has never forgiven himself.
And I know there's no chance, but I still pray somehow that, this was all a bad dream, or this is all gonna undo itself.
Now, 9 years later, Miles and his wife Carol are on a mission to make sure this doesn't happen to any more families.
We need technology to remind, just like to remind you to put your seatbelt on, just like to all these kind of things. You can't afford to have it happen the one time, because the one time could be the final time.
The Harrisons are teaming up with a bipartisan group of lawmakers on Capitol Hill. They're encouraging car companies to install technology that would alert drivers when someone is in the back seat after the car is turned off. It's called the Hot Cars Act.
Kids are dying. We just lost another 3 or 4 kids in the last few weeks. I mean, we got to stop this.
The bill is facing some resistance. The Alliance of Automobile Manufacturers says it's reviewing the proposed legislation, but say they're concerned about proposals where it takes many years before results are seen. They believe the better approach is public awareness. But for Miles, public awareness isn't enough.
They will not have to live through what I have caused my family to live through, and it will be worth it.
Reporting in Washington, I'm Kelly Meyer.
According to kidsandcars.org, on average, 37 children die in hot cars every year. 18 have already been reported this year. Congressman Ryan and other bipartisan lawmakers are expected to continue their push for this bill when they return to Capitol Hill next week.